Hello, this is video 7 for Math0302 beginning algebra chapters 6 sections 6.3 and 6.4. Okay, we want to know how do you recognize what may be a perfect square trinomial? Okay, perfect square trinomials look like that. Basically, it's anything that whenever you factor it gives you a plus b squared or a minus b squared. Now notice that I've never really focused on this last equation here because really it's encompassed in the first equation. So it just cuts down on the amount that you have to memorize. The things to check for. The first term is a perfect square. The last term is a positive. It has to be positive. And the last term is a perfect square as well. So those three things usually mean that you have a perfect square trinomial. The question is how does that help us? Well, let's look at this first one. X squared plus 14x plus 49. First of all, any common factors? No. Fantastic. The first term, is it a perfect square? Yes, it's a square of x. Is the last term a perfect square? Yes, it's a perfect square of 7. Now, addition right here always must be right there. And yes, I wasn't really speaking English, but yes, there needs to be a plus there. Then because of that, it's always going to be in the form of something squared. Okay? Now the question is what are those things? Well, what's the square root of x squared? X. What's the square root of 49? 7. The question is, what about the sign in between? Well, it's always right here. So there has to be a plus. Now notice that if I square this, I get back to the original problem. X being squared gives me x squared. 7 being squared gives me 49, and as always, it's the middle term that's usually the most difficult. X times 7 is 7x. Doubled gives me positive 14x. And that checks out. That's how you know that this is, in fact, the factorization of x squared plus 14x plus 49. Okay, let's look at the next one here. 4x squared minus 12xy plus 9y squared. Well, first of all, is 4 a perfect square? Yes. How about x squared? Yes. How about 9? Yes. How about y squared? Yes. Notice that because this is a plus, that means that this is probably a perfect square trinomial. So something must be getting squared here. So what's the square root of 4? 2. Square root of x squared? X. Square root of 9? 3. Square root of y squared? Y. The sign in between is the one that's most difficult usually, but it's always right there. So it's a minus sign. So square everything here. So 2 squared is 4, x squared is x squared, 3 squared is 9, y squared is y squared. Now multiply these two together. 2x times negative 3y is negative 6xy, and double that means negative 12xy. And that's the middle sign. Excuse me, that's the middle term. Therefore, 2x minus 3y squared is the factorization of 4x squared minus 12xy plus 9y squared. Alrighty, that is the end of this section, the sections 6.3 and 6.4. We have just one more section to do. Please bear with me. Come on over to the next set of videos, and I will see you in a second.